Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Big Gold Belt movie review. Today, I'm bringing you the latest from Pixar, and this one is called Elio, and here's a quick synopsis. An underdog with an active imagination finds himself inadvertently beamed up to the Communiverse, an interplanetary organization with representatives from galaxies far and wide. Mistakenly identified as Earth's ambassador to the rest of the universe, he starts to form new bonds with eccentric characters. That's a good way to describe Elio as a film there. But this one is directed by Madeline Serafin and Domi Sai, and it stars Jonas Cabri and Zoe Saldana. Now, if we are accustomed to any form of a Pixar film, especially of the last couple of years, the trend of them not necessarily being everything that you would want a Pixar film to be, Elio kind of falls into that category. It doesn't reach the heights of last summer's blockbuster Pixar film, which was Inside Out 2. Instead, Elio tends to fall back into the category of the Onward type of film or elements. It's in that area of a Pixar film. As we're introduced to this young character of Elio, we're introduced to him as he's grieving the loss of his parents, which if they would have went a little bit more into that, I think the story could have been even better. But as we deal with that, and we deal with his aunt now taking over and becoming his parental guardian, and then we get to see his obsession with space, of him just wanting to escape his own world and his own life, and begging aliens to pick him up. That early on in this film, you get some of the best funny moments of the film. Unfortunately for Elio, they don't take the necessary time to flesh out exactly his thought process of wanting to be abducted by aliens. And it takes away a human element in this film that could have been perfect, especially for a Pixar film. As you're introducing us to Elio, and he's already lost his parents, and now he wants to escape the world as a whole because he doesn't feel accepted. But it's not fleshed out enough to give the audience also the feels of how important this is for Elio to have to go through. And then we get him abducted by aliens. I'm not going to give you too many plot points because I think that would spoil way too much. And this is an extremely short film. I know it registers as a runtime of, I think, an hour and 45 minutes. This is in just visual, like, movie time. This movie is about an hour and 28 minutes. It's a very quick, short film. So everything with the plot progresses so fast, and it doesn't give the space that we're accustomed to in Pixar movies about fleshing out a full story. Elio just feels like it's a lot of ideas, a lot of very interesting ideas, and they just toggled them together and threw them together for a film, and they didn't take the necessarily time to flesh out the importance of what makes Elio look a special kid. Instead, he comes across at times as an annoying kid, which is fine because he's supposed to be a little kid in the film, so that makes perfectly good sense. And the young actor who plays him, Jonas, great voice actor. For him being so young, he's an amazing voice actor for Elio. So is Zoe. She's an amazing. We have Brad Garrett in this movie also. He's amazing. And a young man named Remy who plays Gordon, who plays Elio's like pseudo best friend in the film. Like, the voice cast is there. The story just does not feel fleshed out. So when we get Elio into the Communiverse and we get to see all these fantastical creatures, because Elio has a budget. And Elio spends a lot on the budget to show you what this Communiverse looks like. And these characters look amazing, but none of them are fleshed out to the point where you care if anything happens to them. And I think that's the running theme of Elio, is that another 30 minutes of this film could have made a heck of a difference in the way this film is presented. And it's very rare that you get to say a film is too short. But this film is too short. It needs that extra 30 minutes to flesh out more of Elio, flesh out more of his aunt, flesh out more of the Communiverse, so you understand exactly what that is. They give you a brief synopsis of it. They introduce you to some amazing creatures in this universe, but yet none of it is explained to us in detail enough to care about all of these characters. And in the end, I think that is the fatal flaw for Elio, is that it just doesn't give you enough. This almost feels like a Disney Plus film that was turned into a big screen film because of potential. And that's not the case with Elio. Elio was never made for Disney Plus. It just feels that way. And it feels that way because it doesn't feel like everything is fleshed out. And that's beyond the behind the scenes stuff of it, with the delays, the budget. None of that matters as it pertains to just the execution of the film here. This film is too short to be one of the great Pixar films. Instead, this falls back to the middle of the pack type of Pixar film, where it is still entertaining, but it has its flaws. And Elio's flaws tend to shine the brightest as the film progresses along, because it just feels rushed. It gets to a point where you're wondering exactly what you're watching here. The magic of what makes Pixar is missing in majority of Elio, and it's because they don't spend the necessary time fleshing out the character. And I think that's a fatal flaw for this movie. If you're going to introduce a character with tragic moments in their past and they want to escape it, the story writes itself exactly how that should be framed here. But you have to frame it for the audience instead of leaving the audience to its own devices, which Elio does a lot. It leaves your audience to your own devices and for you to come up with what naturally should happen instead of showing it to you. And I think that's the difference between this and a movie like Inside Out 2. Inside Out 2 was great because it explained exactly what Violet was going through, so you understood everything. Here, you want them to go through with Elio to explain exactly what this young kid is dealing with the loss of his parents, not feeling loved and welcomed by his aunt, and why he wants to be abducted by aliens. They give you glimmers of it, but don't go into the detail necessary that delivers the heart of a Pixar film. And for that reason alone, Elio, while still entertaining, while still beautiful to look at, it just falls completely short of what your expectations of a Pixar film is. So, Elio, again, brought to you by Pixar and Walt Disney. Out of a possible 10, I am going to give Elio a 6.5 out of 10. This is still entertaining. It still has its moments that are hilarious to watch. Visually, it is stunning. The voice cast is great. If you got 30 more minutes of this film, I think this could have went down as possibly the best space adventure type of film that Disney has put out in years. Instead, what you get here is a film that feels at times half-baked, and it only feels that way because at 1 hour and 28 minutes, that's not enough time to flesh out the themes that go through Elio as a film here. It's some grand ideas, some big ideas that are thrown together, and when you attempt to throw them all together in under 90 minutes, I think your film suffers, and that's the case with Elio here. But for kids, I think they'll still enjoy it. It is still big, bright, beautiful. It's everything you can want in a film, except for the story. I'm even at this point, I strongly doubt even children won't feel something's missing in Elio, but they'll still enjoy it. So for that reason alone, if you're just looking for an entertaining family film, which is kind of difficult now because Lilo and Stitch is still out, How to Train Your Dragon is out. So we do have a lot of entertaining family films out there, and Elio is the least of them at this present time. And it's just because, again, sometimes more is better, and that would have been the case with Elio. But check it out. Let us know what you think. This has been another Big Gold Bell movie review. Peace, people.
I